Welcome to the GC BizCast, a collaboration of J. Whitney Bunting College of Business and Technology and the Department of Communication at Georgia College and State University. Here we discuss important topics with today's business leaders and educators. We're excited that you've joined us. The views expressed are the views of the individuals on the program and do not represent the views of Georgia College and State University. So let's get started.
Hello everyone, welcome back to GCSU BizCast. I hope you're all having a great fall semester. I'm Kimberly.
I'm Savannah.
And I'm Aden.
Today we are joined by Cathy Cox, who is a remarkable leader. Cathy is the Georgia College and State University President, and she has an outstanding career in public service and higher education. Thank you so much, President Cox, for joining us today.
Thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely. Thank you again. It's beyond an honor to have you on, and just seeing your leadership on campus and how you've been such a huge pivoting point for the university has just been so inspiring, and we're really excited to get into how you've transformed our university and just like what led you up to this point.
You're very kind, but I have looked forward to this. I enjoyed the BizCast and I'm glad to be a part of the first of the fall.
Well, so first off, congratulations on the school records. I saw that we're number one. We got ranked the number one in the undergraduate business program, and this was under your leadership. So if you don't mind, tell us more about how our program became number one under your leadership.
Well, number one, y'all are giving me a lot of credit for things that I had very little, if nothing, to do with, because I so often feel like I have just walked into a cloud here at Georgia College. In fact, this week is my third anniversary of being president here. Yesterday, as we tape this, was my third anniversary of starting here as president. But so many things were already up and running so well and so strongly that I feel like I've walked into a great place, and my job is, number one, to be a constant cheerleader and figure out how do we make things better. And one of the maybe, I wouldn't say it's an easy challenge, but one of the things that totally grates on my nerves is for people to come and visit Georgia College and say, I didn't know anything about Georgia College. You're the best kept secret in the state. That's like the worst thing you can say to me, because we're doing so many good things here, but we have not done an effective job of sharing our messages. And so if anything that maybe I've had any impact on in terms of the rankings that we just did very well in is trying to do more in our communication strategy about getting the word out about what we do so well. I don't hire the great faculty we have, but I try to make sure we have the right resources to hire great faculty who help build great programs, who bring in great students. But if the world doesn't know that and know the outcomes of our graduates and the jobs they're getting and the places they're going and the salaries they're making, then we can't earn those rankings, and our reputation doesn't carry around the country to the other schools that vote on us. So those things matter in terms of how what we do on the ground, but also who knows about it. Several of y'all are marketing students, marketing is not just about sales, it's about your reputation and who knows and who comes to enroll in a campus. Marketing is a big part of that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I enjoy, all of our professors, they're awesome. They're all hands-on, and the classroom size is perfect. And I think that leads to great learning experiences because it's more one-on-one with your professor, and I really think that's awesome. So.
Yeah, the campus is like super homey, and not only is the campus super homey, everyone else, including the students and the staff, faculty, they're all amazing, and they just make it feel like home.
Yeah, and I feel like a big part of that and having that good culture is having good leadership. With your great leadership, the staff is able to have those resources to make it such an enjoyable environment for its students. I think that's such an important key thing, and I think you've done an awesome job so far at doing that.
Again, you're kind. We are in a rebuilding mode because during the pandemic, Georgia College, like almost all of the schools in the university system of Georgia, we dropped enrollment because a lot of people wanted to stay home, didn't want to go to college or universities, and so our enrollment went down. And the universities in the university system of Georgia are funded through a formula that's based on your enrollment. And there's a 2-year lag in that funding formula. So in fact, we had a budget cut this year in the 24-25 academic year, even though we have the highest enrollment ever in the history of Georgia College, over 7,100 students on our campus. But we have a funding formula that is penalizing us because 2 years ago, coming out of the pandemic, our enrollment was still down comparatively. So we're rebuilding, and during that time of the pandemic, we had to cut staff and faculty positions. We had to freeze staff and faculty positions. So I want to give a big shout out to our faculty and staff who've had to do a lot more with less. So we're trying to rebuild and replenish those places where we had to freeze positions so that we can do more and free up time for faculty to do more of the things that they want to do for our students.
Absolutely. How's that journey been like with the rebuilding? And I know you just mentioned a budget cut. Has it been a challenge to allocate the resources like that? Tell me about just...
It has been a challenge because, again, the actual state appropriations you get as a state institution don't follow immediately when you have the need. We have the need today, but the great enrollment we have today is going to help us 2 years into the future, and we need it today. Now we do, obviously with higher numbers of students, we have higher tuition revenue of the greater number of students who come in and are paying tuition. That helps. So we're having to prioritize. So that means I'm not a patient person generally, and I don't think our faculty are real patient either. They know we have more students. They want to serve more students. They don't want to lose that small class feel and size that we have. So we need to hire back more faculty and staff. We need to do it now, but we're having to prioritize because we don't have all of the resources back into the budget yet that we will have 2 years from now. So we're having to explain all this and be as transparent as we can and help people understand there's light at the tunnel today, but there's going to be more light in the coming years to come.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you are an amazing leader. You have an inspiring career, and I just want to ask, like, looking back into your career, what were the most defining moments or decisions that have shaped your personal leadership philosophy?
Well, you could probably psychoanalyze me if you want to bring in some psychology students, but I guess I'm the quintessential oldest child. I'm the oldest of 4 daughters, and to some extent, I think growing up in a house full of girls, there were no girls versus guys roles. Girls did everything. I had great parents who raised us to be strong, independent thinkers, to know we had to learn to stand on our own. My father and mother didn't press us to go into one area of study or the other. They just said, you've just got to do something to be able to support yourself. And so we all went in different journeys. I'm the only lawyer in the family, but I have a CPA sister who's the president of a company. I have 2 educator students, sisters that taught in K through 12 schools. So we all went in different directions, but we're all, I think, very strong in our own way. But maybe as the oldest sister, there was sort of like, you can never tell me no, because I'm going to prove you wrong, and I'm going to find a way to get something done. And that's been maybe a driving force. And I grew up in an era where a lot of people did try to tell women they couldn't do things. And as I kind of pursued different careers and ultimately decided to go to law school, there were plenty of women going into law school. About 1/3 of my class were women. Now over 50% of many law schools are women. But to have people say, oh, women can't do that, or women can't do that, that's like throwing a red flag at me to say, well, I'll show you that I can do it. And so along the way, and then getting a legal education behind me to say, now I have the tools that I will show you I can do this. Don't get in my way. has helped me accomplish a lot of things that I wanted to accomplish.
That's truly inspiring.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I can relate to that. I'm the oldest of two, and I feel like what you're saying by like when people say you can't do it, or I feel like I can relate to you in a sense. We hold ourselves to a higher standard than many people hold to us as well. So that's awesome and so inspiring.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Being
that's
a
awesome.
woman of STEM myself, I've been told I can't do it because it's a certain. Can I say that? I want to say this without sounding like it's mostly. I'm trying to think of the word, so just cut that out for a second. I'm trying to think of a word to like say it in a certain sense that it's not like specifically saying that word.
Very typical mentality.
What'd you say?
Very typical mentality of women.
Okay, yeah. Being a woman of STEM, I can totally relate to it as well because women in STEM there's not many of them, and I've been told a lot that I can't do it. I can't do it. It's not typical for women to be in STEM, but I've learned that I can do it, and so.
And you know, the way that I see women in STEM is so similar to the way that I saw women in the law early on. Early on, everybody said women have to be like the men in law, and so literally, this y'all will laugh at this, but in the early days when I first got out of law school, to go to court, all the women had to wear navy, gray, or black suits, and you had to wear these little mini silk ties, like bow ties, because you had to be a mini man. You had to look like the men going to court. You had to act like a man. There wasn't a woman's way to be a lawyer. Now, years later, that gender distinction has really gone out the door, and women routinely show up to court in high heels and dresses that are nice and professional, obviously, but that laughable uniform that we had to wear is kind of what I see people in STEM are still trying to make women be like men in STEM, and you should feel free to pave your own way to be the kind of STEM woman you want to be, so that people quit talking about your gender and you're just the best you can be regardless of that.
Yeah, I should. 100% I agree with that.
Yeah. This is kind of like just out of curiosity question. So I know you worked in politics and journalism and even, and then like you said, law. I was just wondering, out of all of your jobs, what job do you think you learned like the most leadership skill? And obviously being president of schools and stuff, I was wondering what job you have worked taught you the most leadership skills?
I think all of them have compounded. I feel like every experience is a building block, if you can think of it that way. But without question, getting a legal education for me gave me the tool set that didn't necessarily teach me leadership, but it gave me a grounding and a confidence to say, you cannot run over me. I will be prepared. I will understand what I'm talking about. I know how to stand on my feet and defend whatever it is I'm going to be saying, and you can't run over me anymore. And sadly, I think there are a lot of places in society, for women in particular, but it happens to men too, that people in a power dynamic try to run over somebody. And having that legal education behind me, having been a practicing lawyer in a courtroom where you have to be prepared for anything that's thrown at you from the other lawyer, from witnesses. It's got to happen in real time in front of a jury. You learn these skill sets to kind of work with a poker face, not to get flustered, not to just want to punch somebody out when you're really, really upset about something. And then taking that into politics, because the same thing into politics, when you're out in a debate or in a political discussion and people are throwing ridiculous questions at you, and you want to say, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life, you can never say that.
Right.
You can say it in your head.
You can say it in your head, but you know this is a voter out there, and so you've got to learn how to give respectful answers to things that you disagree with, and always think about, and you do learn this skill a lot in law school, is how to be an advocate, how to advocate for what you want to accomplish, how to be persuasive in your discussion and in your argument. And so that's necessary when you're trying to get a judge to rule for you or a jury to rule for you. But it's when I'm trying to persuade you to buy my product or come to my university, you know, in front of a group of parents or prospective students, I want to be a zealous advocate that when you leave here, you're going to believe me and nobody else about whatever it is I'm talking about. So those are skills that I think help me be more effective as a leader. But even when I'm talking here to our university senate of faculty and staff people, whatever I'm trying to tell them, I'm not trying to deceive them ever, but I want them to understand maybe a decision that we're going to have to make. And so I want to advocate for how we're going to do this, how we're going to get through it, how it's going to work, how it's going to be better for them, how we'll include everybody, and understand the big picture.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, number one, I can't imagine any circumstance where I would ever say to someone in an audience, you know, that is in a different power dynamic. Now, if I was in a debate with another candidate, I might say, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. And I probably have said that to some of the people I've run for office
It's more
against.
common in politics.
Yeah, truly. But I would never, ever say that to a voter or somebody who has asked me a question, even if I can tell they're just trying to pick at me and they don't maybe really want an answer. I would try to say, respectfully, we disagree. Whether it's somebody in a sort of power dynamic that maybe is in the audience, but I've certainly had to disagree with some of my superiors at the university system office to say, well, respectfully, we disagree about this point, but here's my point, and try to help them, if they're open to listening, to see the way that I see something. And so I'm not trying to say you're stupid, because they're generally not, but help them see that their way of seeing things is not the only way that a factual scenario might exist. And maybe I get them to see things in a different light.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a great tool to have, especially like even in the business world, not just politics, but being respectful and everything. I think that's a great tool to show what you know, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. I want to pivot a little bit. There are many students out there that also are aspiring to go for leadership roles, and being a person who has been in many leadership roles, I want to ask you for like an unexpected piece of advice for these students who want to be in a leadership role.
Well, leadership, as I hope you all know, as Georgia College students, leadership comes in so many different forms. Leadership is not all about being an elected person or the CEO. We develop leadership here for the public good. We believe we need leaders as nurses. We need leaders in the nonprofit world. We need leaders in traditional business settings. We need leaders who can work with other people to make things better. I mean, that's, to me, the way I could boil it down. Yeah. Leaders take wherever they are and work with other people to make things better, because you've got to work with other people or you're not leading anybody by definition. So you've got to know how to work with people. You've got to motivate people to go along with you and be persuasive. You've got to help them understand an issue and want to be involved in a way to make something better. But the advice I would give is not unconventional, really. Probably a lot of people would share this, but is to learn to be a good listener. there are a whole lot of leaders who think it's their job to talk and be the smartest person in the room. And maybe you will be lucky and be the smartest person in the room, but often if you try to make everybody think you're the smartest person in the room, you will so offend everybody else in the room that they will bolt and they are not going to follow you, because who wants to be around Mr. or Ms. Know-it-all? I mean, you generally don't like to work with those kind of people who think they know it all and don't need your help. So if you can be a good listener, number one, you probably will learn a lot more from the people around you. And if you can listen and they believe their ideas are contributing to the solution, you're going to get more buy-in from them. They're going to feel more invested, like, hey, my idea is going to help this team. We're going to go forward on my idea. I can work on this part of the project or something. So just by listening and having everybody else get involved and contribute to the cause is a good leadership skill that doesn't sound conventional, because leaders today, I think, are much more inclusive with teams, working with teams. And when I was formerly the dean of a law school, I had law firms that would tell our students, when you come to work for us, we put you through a personality test to determine how well you can work on teams, because we have big corporate clients. We don't ever send one lawyer out to work. We send lawyers out in teams, so we need to know who can work on teams. So that's a skill our students need to know.
So important.
You're going to work on teams probably in everything you do in the future. A virtual team, in-person team, but you need to get along with people. And that listening skill will help you, whether you're listening to superiors, listening to teammates. You'll learn, you can become a better leader by listening.
Absolutely, I'll have to completely agree with you on that. And I think not only is leadership skills important for the people looking for a leadership role, but it's important for everyone. And like having that community and culture where you can have people that you are able to listen to, I feel like that's more efficient than if you have someone that has more knowledge completely. It's going to get, I'm just reminded of this saying, it's, you show me, maybe I'll learn it. If you teach me, maybe I'll learn it. But if you involve me, I definitely will learn it. And so I think in any workplace, any environment, whether it's in the classroom or after graduation, you're going to need those skills no matter where you're going to. Like, you have to be able to be involved with people, and that's just a crucial skill. And I think even in the classroom with the critical thinking classes that we're going through, it's just cultivating that for the students. And I think that's one of the main differentiations for Georgia College. Like, it just, having that aspect has truly helped not only me, but definitely a lot more students, because without those skills, you can be the smartest person in the room, but not get anything done.
And here's the other thing about listening. It's learning to be an active listener. It's a skill that you can learn and you can practice and you can get better at by learning to be an active listener. You can Google, there are probably a million articles out there that'll give you better advice than me. But part of it starts with looking people in the eye and making a connection so that person knows she's paying attention to me.
That used to be so hard for me in the past.
Hard.
It used to be so hard for me. I had to force myself to kind of just...
It's such, it's a little bit uncomfortable, particularly if you don't know the person. You want to look away, you want to look down, you want to look at your phone. But learning to look them in the eye and don't look away, because then you've got their attention. They know you're paying attention. That matters. That's a great way, even at a cocktail party, to network, to know you listen to somebody. They will remember that you cared enough to look them in the eye for 5 minutes and have a conversation and listen. And it's a way of your brain connecting the neurons to register conversations and remember names and all of those kind of things, to really listen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I really think the school has really done a great job at that. Like, in almost every one of my classes, I have to go up and give a presentation. And at first, I always get so nervous, but it's like a muscle. All my professors have told me giving a presentation it's like a muscle. You're really nervous at first, and then the more you do it, the more comfortable you are. and this is my 3rd year, so with 3 years of this experience, I can go up and go talk in front of a crowd and not be as nervous. I still get a little nervous, but like not as nervous. And like you were saying, like just having those skills is really good to have.
That makes me so proud,
Yeah.
because I can't tell you how often we have visitors here from the Board of Regents. We had several elected officials here this week, VIPs who come and say, well, I was on this other campus and boy, they got smart students and they can do all this coding, but they can't really hold a conversation. Your students could talk for hours.
Yes.
But I
See, that's
know
what's great about
we've
Georgia
helped you
College.
develop those
Yeah.
skills.
Like-
I hope we've helped you
Yeah.
develop
Yeah.
those
It's great.
skills.
The amount of practice we get here at Georgia College, like I was so shy. I was like in my own little I don't know how to explain it, in my own little box, and I did not want to branch out. But in a way, these professors, the way they kind of not shove, but kind of a little push to get you outside of your comfort zone has helped so much for me. And look at me now. I would never ever imagine myself on camera like this in a million years.
I'm with you on that.
You just have to practice.
Yeah.
You have to
Yeah.
practice and develop that comfort. And y'all are great at it. But students all over this campus have developed that skill, and we're very proud. That makes me very proud.
Yeah, it's awesome.
You feel good about doing it.
I do. It's
Yeah.
great. It's great.
Absolutely. What would you say are one aspect of Georgia College is either your favorite or really sets us apart in any aspect? What's your favorite or?
Well, I could talk for hours about that one question, but what I love to describe to people is that when you are a student here, what is distinctive about Georgia College is that we are the right size, I think, to be able to do this well. Not just, and part of it is sort of what we're talking about, learning communication skills, is experiential learning. And that sounds like a little buzz term, but it really means something to us in the way we teach. And we think that's the essence of a really great contemporary liberal arts education. I have so many people who say, oh, liberal arts, yeah, y'all are just all sitting around like Socrates, expounding on philosophy, and we do. But it's about developing these kind of skills that transcend you all being business majors. I hope that everybody in education and nursing are having opportunities to learn these same kinds of skills that we call the essential skills that every employer wants to find in a graduate. The ability to communicate, the ability to analyze problems, the abilities to work on teams, the abilities to think critically and not just take whole hog the garbage you might read on the internet. Those are learned skills that you cannot learn sitting in the back of a 300-person lecture hall, never having a discussion. You've got to learn by talking and doing and being in a situation where you get to do things.
There's more of a connection.
More of a connection of having you in a moment to learn by doing and solving problems, where you have to think about how do I handle something, not how do I just regurgitate something I memorized. And that's a different way of learning. It's a different way of having your brain connect to information and really learn it, and to make it a real part of who your persona is. And I think we do that well, and that's what I talk to our provost and our faculty a lot about. How can we do that even more? How do we make those experiences even richer for our students?
It's kind of they're trying to teach us how to make it come sort of naturally rather than going based off of just an exact science. It's never an exact science.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, think about the things here in the business college, the virtual lab we're actually sitting in while we're taping here, or going to Grace Hopper, or getting out and doing internships with marketing firms, getting out in the real world and having these experiences where you're faced with real problems that everyday people in the working world are going to be challenging you with. Those are great ways to learn, and then go back to class and talk to a professor about how do I handle this, and then be so ready to hit the ground when you graduate.
Absolutely. Yeah, one thing I would want to ask is, what are the strategies that for the future of Georgia College and State University? I know you talked about our reputation and just the image of the school is one big thing, but what are your future strategies for the school? I'm curious.
Well, it really piggybacks on what I'm talking about, of more and more depth in our experiential learning opportunities. So take, again, here in the College of Business and Technology, we are, earlier this week, we met with a member of Congress who is helping us with funding to really be able to launch our business incubator so that we can work with local, real-life, local business startups and help them start and incubate in the first 6 weeks, 18 weeks, whatever period, grow a business and really launch it so that our students can work with faculty members to become business consultants, help people on the business basics that might really trip them up in starting a business, or be at a point where businesses quite often fail by failing to do the right kind of governance structures, and help them get everything in a good place, and then, you know, maybe do periodic checkups, but help businesses start up, and help our own students from an entrepreneurship that will start with business students, but we need to launch that across the campus, you know, because it's not just business students that have great ideas about starting businesses. What about over in the in the Department of Art, artists who want their own businesses? They are very talented artists, but what do they know about the principles of starting their own business as an artist? Bringing an entrepreneurship certificate program for all of our students to participate in, whatever their background is. There might be nurses that want to do some kind of community health offering for their own sort of side business, but need business principles. So any student with great ideas, I think we could incorporate through an entrepreneurship certificate kind of program. Again, learn by doing while you're here. Be ready to hit the ground running 10 steps ahead of every other college graduate in Georgia when you leave here.
Absolutely.
So as you know, we live in a world that's like filled with technology and AI, and so I'm just curious, how do you think we can add AI into like our curriculum as like students, and even for new incoming students?
I'm excited that the College of Business and Technology is really already well down that path. We've got some very skilled faculty members who are really well versed in the AI world. The University System of Georgia very recently put on a 2-day AI conference. We sent faculty and staff members. I attended part of it. And I know, or I believe, I've been told here in the College of Business Technology, all of you are going to be taking classes before you graduate so that we can say all of our business students understand at a minimum how to prompt AI systems, because that's the world today. It's certainly going to be the world of easily tomorrow, much less the distant future. But we can't be afraid of AI. So we and our faculty, I don't think, are afraid of AI. We've just got to figure out how do we help our students learn to use AI as the best kind of tool in whatever direction they're going, because it can streamline their work in marketing, certainly MIS, but understanding how it can work, how it can be biased, what are the downsides of AI? Having to understand that holistic world of AI is going to be important for our students to be the best people who can use it as an effective tool when they graduate.
You see, I definitely agree with that. I mean, obviously I'm a woman of STEM, but I also believe that we should not be afraid of AI. It is our future, and I understand why someone would be afraid of AI. It is new, it is emerging, and it is big. But there is so many pros to this, and how much it can help our world and our society.
It is, and you know, when you can kind of boil it down to people to say, did you know really autocorrect is really AI? Oh, okay, you know, I thought it was this big bad thing. That's the simple, of course, simple form that we've been using for a long time. But there's so much more out there, obviously, that's coming online every day. But we want our students not be behind the curve, and we know employers are going to be looking to our students to be ready to use it and ready to deploy it in their workplaces. And so that means having faculty who are ready to teach it.
Absolutely.
So I was curious, so how do you think, like using AI forward, how do you think, like are there going to be any new policies or anything like regarding AI like through the school? It's just kind of another question out of curiosity.
Well, we've already adopted some basic policies that I think were very positive. Instead of saying, "Oh, there shall be no AI," because you might be able to cheat on an exam. We've really put it in the hands of faculty, because there are plenty of faculty who want to use it more so than others. But we certainly want to uphold our standards about plagiarism and creative endeavors and those kind of things to make sure that students are still going to put in the work to learn materials and learn the things that we want them to learn here, but to know how to use it as a parallel tool to streamline or make more efficient the work you're going to do is, I think, the way we've written policy so that faculty have that leeway to use it in their classes without being prescriptive to say you can't use AI as a tool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. One of my favorite questions to ask anyone, whether it's outside professional settings or personal settings, is what is your favorite or best piece of advice you've been given or favorite piece of advice you like to give? This can be in general,
well,
I know it's like
it can be outside of like the whole business, like leadership kind of talk, anything.
Well, for students here in a university setting, my favorite advice is to get outside of your comfort zone. Again, that goes back to the essence of a liberal arts university. We offer so many things here. We bring in speakers almost every day of the week. We have programs, we have certificate programs, we have one-off things that you can be involved in, whether it's a 4-credit, whether it's just sit in on a speaker, whether it's join an organization that you can learn something from that would never cross your mind of being interested. Whether it's taking a class as an elective that your advisor recommends and you think it'll be the most boring thing in the world, that you'll never be able to use it, have no need for it in your career, and all of a sudden it opens up this new world for you. Because as smart as we know all of our students are, you had to be super smart to be admitted to Georgia College. There is a whole world out there that you know nothing about. It's true for every one of us. It's still true for me. We've got to love learning enough to put ourselves in an environment to say, I don't know anything about what this program's about, but I thought I might learn something. And boy, isn't that going to be great, because the richness in your life, I hope you will all find, the richness in life is that you get to keep learning, that life is not static, that you get to keep meeting people. And when you become those good listeners, you're going to find that people you didn't think would end up being your kind of buddy add this richness to your life because you listened to them and you found out you had things in common, or they brought this new dynamic to your life about their life experience that opened up doors for you. That's just what makes life fun and interesting and rich. So I hope for the benefit of your joy in life, you just put yourselves out of your comfort zone as often as you can to say, I want to meet somebody new, I want to do something different, I want to find something every week of my life that I learned something new and differently.
Absolutely. Stepping out of your comfort zone, I feel like it's just key for any type of growth, whether that's personal, whether it's professional. Stepping out of your comfort zone is definitely the key thing that you have to continue to do even after you exit your education. I feel like lifelong learning is so important to hold on to and the key thing to growth.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And don't take yourself too seriously. You know? I mean, if you can't find humor in life, then it's pretty dull.
Yeah.
But there's humor all around us.
Yes, ma'am.
The amount of times I've gone up in front of the class and just like messed up what I was gonna say, and I just had to laugh it off. I would, if it was a penny for every time, I'd be rich.
And didn't everybody laugh along with you? Because,
Oh, yeah.
Because they can all relate to how you felt.
For sure.
Absolutely. Are there more questions?
I still haven't asked one question.
I think, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, okay. I was like, this one's a very long question, so I'm just cutting it short, that's why. All right, so I want to talk about community impact with Georgia College. What are some additional significant ways that Georgia College can make an impact on our surrounding community?
Well, it's very important to me, because we're a public institution, that we are always mindful of the community in which we reside, and that we use the intellectual capital that we have as a university to help make our community better. And so that comes in innumerable ways. So take, for example, that we're about to launch a mobile health clinic through our Center for Health and Social Issues that will be able to take our nursing students and our public health students out into the community to do health screenings. We can go into neighborhoods that might be able to do blood pressure screenings for pregnant women and address the maternal mortality rate that's so horrible here in Georgia. It can go over and partner with businesses and do screenings, health screenings for employees to make sure that there's not somebody who's about to have a heart attack on the job, and maybe do some preventive care for their staff and keep people on the job. With their health care needs. So we're using our intellectual abilities and capital here to go out literally in a mobile RV that's going to have our big Georgia College logos like a bus all over this area. We go out obviously through our school, our College of Education, to school systems. I'm so proud of all of our student groups that do outreach into our schools, because you all are impressive to me. But oh my goodness, you are impressive to school children. For them to see a college student in their classroom that is interested enough to come and read to them makes them understand how important reading is. And reading is the key to their whole life success when they're birthed through age 8. And so when we branch out and help our students understand, the local students, that we care about the condition of their school systems and how they are progressing in their education, when we bring them to our campus to make them feel comfortable and see a pathway to going to college, even if no one else in their family had ever gone to college, then we are doing more to have a bigger impact on our campus, on our community. I work with local people. I've been having a lot of discussion lately with people who want to develop some other businesses that would be supportive of the campus and of the community, and how can we play a supportive role in that. So I'm always trying to be in those kind of discussions. I want to have continuing discussions, and do, with our city government and our county government about how we can partner with them. We use students, for example, some of our master's students did some research for the city council on some alcohol licenses that helped them do some revisions to their local alcohol licensing laws. We're happy to do white paper studies like that when it helps our local government make more informed decisions. So there's a huge benefit to having a university right in your midst, but I want to make sure the local community knows we're here for you. We want to be able to help you. And that goes back to this business incubator, why we think we're a natural for that. We don't have a federally funded small business development center here, but we can do very similar modes of assistance to the local business community, more so than a Chamber of Commerce could provide, to help local folks who want to start a business and support their families get up and running in a business, because we've got the intellectual ability to share that and help people develop their own. So any way you could look across this campus, we have an ability to reach out further, whether it's even the entertainment and the cultural development from our fine arts programs and dance and those kind of things, theater, that enrich people's creative sides. we can do it, and we are trying always to do that, and I want to be the big supporter and cheerleader to make those things happen so that the community is always saying, we're so glad we live in the community with Georgia College.
Absolutely. And you've done an awesome job of being our cheerleader. And yeah, that brings us to the end, but I want to thank you so much. It's truly been such an honor and pleasure to have you
Can't we
on.
talk for another hour?
I feel like we can continue
Let me
to
go
talk.
check with Michael.
Yeah, we could continue to talk forever, I feel like, but just your experiences and like getting to talk about your experiences and the future plans you have for college is so inspiring, and it just gives us more fuel to get out there and be more involved in our community and just be engaging with other there's so much Georgia College and State University can offer.
So much.
Yeah.
So much.
Well, I always welcome your ideas because lots of great ideas just bubble up straight from students. Nothing has excited me as much as our student-managed investment club bubbling up right here out of the College of Business and Technology with our new finance majors who said, we want to learn by doing. We want to manage money. And they put together this whole structure, just like walking into a Charles Schwab office, and went to our foundation trustees and said, hey, buddies, give us $100,000. We want to manage this. And the trustees could not wait to raise their hand and vote to carve out $100,000 of our endowment and let our students invest it. So a great idea bubbled straight out of our student body.
Amazing.
Incredible. Thank you so much again, and thank you for taking the time out of your day to come be with us and talk with us. It's been such a help to us, and I'm sure all of our viewers. So thank you so much again. And
Thank you.
My pleasure.
to our viewers, thank you so much for joining us again on GCSU BizCast, and stay tuned for more inspiring stories.